Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome back to the Blacktown Football Hour podcast, a very special episode, 25.5 or 26, depending on how you want to look at it, of the Blacktown Football Hour podcast. No time for fancy or special intros. We're going to go straight into what is a Women's Premier League-centric episode of this wonderful show. I'd like to first and foremost say thank you very much to the two teams for making their way here to Blacktown Football Park on a random Tuesday night, especially to Holroyd, who tracked it from all the way around Western Sydney. I'm very appreciative of the effort you guys have put in to making this competition good, both digitally and audibly, and as well as, of course, on the pitch. The Women's Premier League has truly taken over my life. Sunday 3pm has been a stalwart time for me where I've put aside time to watch that stream every single week, or of course commentate it myself. It's been a privilege to be a part of the inaugural season of this wonderful competition, and long may it continue to prosper. Thank you very much to all involved. Let's cue the intro music. As you would know, we have Parklea versus Holroyd, BDSFA versus GDSFA, second versus first in the first ever Women's Premier League Grand Final. Holroyd made it into the Grand Final thanks to a convincing 3-0 win over Norwest at Labert Sporting Complex on Sunday afternoon. Before we actually go into the interview, I'd like to mention the times. So, the Grand Final will be played here, of course, at Blacktown Football Park at 6pm on Sunday night, the showpiece event of the Grand Finals. Lock it in. Leave a like if you are excited. Leave a like if you enjoy what you've seen so far. Leave a like when you do enjoy the content that comes out. Of course, 25 minutes of pure footballing podcast bliss is about to come your way. And if you can prove that you're one of the 14 subscribers that help us get from 986 to 1,000, screenshot that and I'll buy you a packet of Red Frogs here on Grand Final Day if you come and show me. Without any further delay, let's go and chat to Holroyd and to Parklea. Welcome to this very special episode of the Blacktown Football Hour podcast, uploaded on the Wednesday of the BDSFA Grand Final week. We have two sets of very, very special guests joining us for an extended interview today. It's the two unquestionably best teams in the entire Women's Premier League from season number 1 of this brilliant competition. I welcome Holroyd Rangers and Parklea. Specifically, I'd like to introduce Holroyd first, joining us for the first time live ever, of course, Danny. The first name atop the International Scout Report, Louise Horgan, D. King, whose left-footed corners have frightened goalkeepers all year, also wearing a hat inside, which is bad luck, and Felicia Alonso de Brezhny, Holroyd's very own right flank roadrunner. And from Parklea, hello to assistant coach and manager Trevor Williams, penalty shootout specialist Shannon Williams, captain fantastic Elizabeth Musa, who's joined us plenty of times, and the first name on the team sheet, Brittany Rogers, and set piece Deadeye Courtney Holmes, who deserves a goal of the week. I'd like to thank you all collectively for being here. Appreciate it. Let's pick up where the WPL left off. So Danny, pick up that microphone and put it in your hand. Holroyd booked their ticket to the big time with a 3-0 win over Norwest. That was certainly the toughest test that Norwest have given you this season. It was even until sort of 82 odd minutes when you sort of put that cushion on with the second goal and they started pushing some numbers forward. Danny, as I always do, I open with a question to the coach with the WPL. That first goal, though, right on the 12-minute mark, Angela picks up the ball, splits 2, even 3 players with a really great pass. Sarah Bernard slows things down as she does. She's incredible at doing that. That's why she wears the number 8, as I mentioned on the mic. Then she finds Angela again, who finishes it brilliantly with the laces. That's some of the best sort of individual quality I've seen throughout the WPL all season. Would you have to agree?
Yeah, definitely. It was a great goal. It was well timed. We needed to start quick. We spoke about that in the sheds, saying that we needed to get a good start, and that was the perfect way to do that.
Absolutely. Felicia, you came out of that game battered and bruised, so we'll pass the microphone down there. But still hungry to deliver when she came on in the second half with a change of jersey as well, the number 12 you picked up. It was your pace and your tenacity late on in the game that helped create space for Suma Kati, who picked up the second and third goal, but especially the third one where the assist will get credited to you. How many times have you found yourself one-on-one with a fullback and just beating them for pace? Because you did it so many times in the 50-odd minutes that you were on that game.
I need to do a humble brag, I think. It's quite common.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Parklea, I'll get you to pick up the mic. So we've heard most of it from Holroyd on last week's episode, but I think it's only right that we get your perspective on the automatic Grand Final qualifier. Trevor, could you give me a rundown on how the 90 minutes looked, what extra time looked like as well, but throughout that 110 minutes, who had the better of the chances, who maybe deserved to get a winner if there was one deserving of? Wrap it up for me.
Yeah, look, I think the result, how it went to penalties, shows you how close the game was. I think both teams would probably say they had opportunities to put it away. The first half, great, spot kick from Holroyd to put it in the net, and I think that's certainly something we're going to have to keep an eye on. But I thought we made some subtle changes in the second half, and I think we started to get a little bit on top early. Our sort of equalising goal, I think, was a great piece of football where we sort of overloaded and came in and scored. Unfortunately, we couldn't keep that going through injuries, etc. But certainly, tenacity. I think it was a great fight. Both teams defended really well. I have to give a call out to our girls for sort of the last 20 minutes of the regular time, and then for the entirety of the extra time, our girls played with no subs due to injuries and stuff. So they really gutted it out, and I think then it just came down to penalty shootout, and those things are a bit of a lottery sometimes, and we will claim the win, but I think both teams will go into this game thinking, but all got a big chance.
That's the first time that I've heard that you guys actually didn't have the lead in that game. So if you think back to the match around that was here earlier in the season, you guys had the lead in that one through your penalty, and then Holroyd made a comeback in that one. So interesting that the tide to sort of turned on its head there. Shannon, you had your very own special moment in that game. It's not every day where a keeper gets to score and then win a penalty shootout on their own. So is that a first for you? And what was that feeling like?
It's a first where I wasn't prepared to take the penalty. I've taken them before. When I was younger, I was in the 5, but definitely the longest penalty shootout I've ever been in. And yeah, I definitely wasn't prepared for that. It was a big first. It was terrifying.
What about the reaction when you saved it? Was it a sort of weight off the shoulders, or was it more just elation?
Definitely relief. I mean, penalty shootouts, I've done a ton of them, and none of them get easier. They're all terrifying. So it's just, it just feels like, thank God it's over. And I'm definitely glad it was a positive result that I could celebrate with my team.
Excellent. And welcome to the podcast, by the way, officially. And doing it live, that's pretty awesome. Dee, now you've got an All-Age Women's 2 and All-Age Women's 1 and a WPL side that's into a grand final, which is a fantastic achievement, by the way, as the president of Holroyd. Congratulations to you. It shows, and it's a testament to the consistency of all three of those teams, particularly the All-Age Women's 1 and the WPL, because that's like a squad, as you guys have described it to me. So you're a person who's really been in and out of both, as I've seen online and from conversations with you. You're really close with sort of both of those sets of players, even though you do identify as a squad. You participate in both, you back up for both, and you're really there supporting both teams, which I think is fantastic. So it could also be used as a way to get your WPL specific players to get back into sort of full match sharpness, or when they're returning from injury, which I'm sure is really helpful. And I'm sure these guys would appreciate one day if they could do that too. So just talk to me about how important it has been for building squad depth, for getting players back to full match sharpness, for just building good chemistry and having people support you to have both that AAW1 and WPL squad.
Well, in the All-Age 1, I actually play goalkeeper, so it kind of gives me a break for Prems, but the team's great. Like, the whole squad is great. It's like a good feeder club for each one, and to get everyone into the Prems as well, but it's pretty good.
Also made the grand final before the WPL match of the round last Sunday. A couple of really good second half goals on the break in particular. And all of those girls stuck behind and supported you for WPL. So how helpful is it to have people that are supporting you guys?
It's great. Like, the club's great, the girls are great, and I really enjoy it. Brilliant.
Courtney, welcome back to the podcast, by the way. Get you to pick up the mic. You've been with this group for a long, long time now, as well with the coach. Now, I've heard varying things throughout the years, and I'm fairly certain that the highest number that I've heard is that this is number 10 in a row. I might be wrong in that, so I'm here to find out. Is it 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there?
Around that.
Okay, so they've lost count is basically what they're trying to say. So it's safe to say Parklea don't know how to not make grand finals. It is in your DNA, it is within the beings of this team that they just always make the grand finals, no matter what competition it is. So I need to ask, does number 10 or 9 or 8, whatever it is, does it still motivate you the same way that perhaps the very first one did? How do you feel going into this one?
Yeah, it does. Look, everybody goes into a grand final wanting to win, obviously. But this one is a bit different because it's the first WPL with 3 districts in it. So, but yeah, always there for a win.
Excellent. Danny, you've faced Parklea 3 times now, and technically they've not beaten you within 90 minutes. A shootout is a separate method of winning, if you'd like me to say. Sorry. Yes. So unless we go back through a couple of years ago, but this year specifically with this new majority of the squad. So they're yet to best you in regular play yet this season. So there's been the season opener 2-2. There's been the comeback in the match of the round, and there's now been the 1-1 a fortnight ago. So considering all things are going good for Holroyd this season, is it safe to say that your biggest challenge in terms of an opposition team has been these guys? Because I think they've given you objectively the hardest test.
Yeah, definitely. If you go back and look at all our games, Parklea are certainly the team that's troubled us the most. They're the facts, I suppose. You can't deny that. But we're confident that we can adjust a few little things to counteract, the issues that they present us. So I'm sure we'll get that right for Sunday, and we'll be prepared. But we'll definitely be paying them the utmost respect because they've been there, they've done that, we haven't.
As the regular season top goal scorers, what is it about the Parklea style of play? Obviously, I'm asking you this as you'll need to overcome it this weekend. But what is it about the sort of Parklea style of play that nullifies what is usually a really free-flowing, fluent front 3 or 4 that Holroyd have? Because every time that you've sort of scored, they've always had a response, except for the one game that was here. So, what is it, and have you figured out a way around it with just 5 days to go?
Not things that I'm going to disclose to you today, but we'll definitely pay attention to their midfield. Their midfield, I feel, is their strength. It's where all their play starts. Elizabeth, that's you. We'll definitely be paying extra attention to that. But I'm not going to give too much away. But look, we've got a strong team too, so don't want to forget that.
I'm not surprised that nothing has been given away. That seems to be the theme of all these podcast episodes. I'm just waiting for someone to go, their left winger is really good and we are going to kick their knees until they fall in pumped. One day we'll get that, but it's not going to be today. Brittany, as the leader of the defence for Parklea, someone who never really goes off, you always play the full 90 minutes. You would know best, because you've been there for the most amount of minutes, how they play, and they are the top goal scorers. But as mentioned, Parklea can match the Premiers when they play at their best football. So, from my perspective, your job is the hardest as a centre-back, because Sarah, specifically from Holroyd, does this thing where she doesn't sit on your line. She's not next to you guys. She's always dropping in. And that doesn't give you someone to mark for 90 minutes of the game. And that's weird for a centre-back, whether it's this level or the World Cup. It's just the way that all centre-backs have sort of worked. What can you sort of reveal about what you guys have discussed in dealing with a player like that, with sort of their front line entirely? Because they're good on their day, and you'll need to be at your best to stop them.
Yeah, most definitely. Same thing though. I won't be letting you guys know any of our game plan. It is something that we do have organised, but you guys will have to wait and see on Sunday.
Excellent. I'm not surprised once again. Now, Louise, we'll pass the microphone down to the far end of the table. Parklea have evolved this year, and in my very short time of watching them, I've seen a lot of goal scoring come through. They have a particularly pacey goal threat who's called Cassidy, and she's had the task of sharing that around this year. So they've had goals come from more areas. For example, there was another pacey player who wears 15 in Shannon Murray who scored against you guys a fortnight ago. So, in my own eyes, outside of Paige's sort of handball that led to a penalty that was here in the match of the round, I haven't actually seen. I can tell that's a bit of a meme in the group chat, but I haven't actually seen Parklea score an open play goal against you besides 5 sort of throw-ins in a row, and Paige just happened to put her hands up too much. So I haven't seen how they've played against you yet. So again, as one of the leaders of the defence, what can you again sort of reveal about how you might deal with their counter-attacks, because they do have some pacey players?
I just think to stay alert. I know 2 weekends ago it was a lucky break over the top that they got, and we were out of position. So just to make sure we don't do that again.
Mm-hmm. I think Norwest, I'll get you to pass it down to Danny, just to sort of extend on that. I think Norwest had a couple of chances to do that when they were pushing a lot of numbers forward. I mean, their centre back came up and played striker. I mean, I called it the Alana Kennedy versus Nigeria. Again, it didn't really sort of work, but the one that was working was actually a ball sort of over the top in behind. Are there any sort of things that you take from the match of the round in particular that you might look at? No,
not really. Norwest played 5 at the back, so they were very weak up front, and that was to their detriment. We pride ourselves in our back line, our defence. So to play 2 players most of the game up front, I don't think it was ever going to really give them anything. So that's where they struggled a bit, but Parklea will be a different ball game.
Mm-hmm. Liz, we spoke at the start of the year, and we spoke at Bella Vista Public School on a windy old day, and you told me about your excitement for the competition. In contrast to Holroyd, where a lot of their players were brought in this year, there were a couple of players who'd been here for a number of years, but a lot of them were brought in Parklea have stuck to what they've always done, and that is they've had a group of players they've stuck on by, and if someone needs to drop out for whatever reason outside of football, you find a replacement, and it just tends to be better than what you already had. So you guys just keep getting better. And to actually quote you, you said you're not just going to bring in anyone from anywhere. So you were looking for quality this year where you needed to. Some new faces in 2023. We're almost at the end now, so I guess it's time to sort of review it. I know Mika came in, Danielle as well, but I might be also missing some names. How do you think that those new signings that we sort of spoke about 8 months ago have settled in, and how have they helped build on what is already such a great chemistry and unit at Parklea?
Yeah, look, there was only a couple that were actually new faces. Denny was an old face; she just had a year off. Mika unfortunately got injured fairly early, so she spent half the season out. But herself and Shannon, they were the new faces. They just added their strength to our team. They just gave us those extra legs when we needed the substitutes. They were there to fill in as well. So they definitely played their part in our team. They did a good job, yeah.
I might pass it down to Trevor just to sort of extend on that. What I keep hearing is the word injuries. And judging by the slight under the breath reaction there, it has been an issue the whole year. And probably for a number of years as well. Now, we've just finished asking them about having an all-age women's one to call upon. When you guys tend to dip into your reserves, it tends to be for an 18 squad, if I'm not mistaken. So, hearing what they've just said and about having that extra support off the pitch and quite literally on it, does that make you more concerned that you might be heading onto the pitch on Sunday with a couple of subs, or are you guys prepared to have a couple of sub on?
Yeah, look, I think what I know about this team is whatever players we put on the park, they'll do the job they need to do, and that was evident like 2 weekends ago. As I said, 60 minutes of football with no subs, and from my perspective, we never got broken down. So, I think just the tenacity and what this team has dealt with. Certainly, injuries have played a part, but that's just how it rolls. We've had some great support from our 18s. We probably missed our fault, my fault more than anything else, missed the boat with the qualifications, and we missed out by the bye round, unfortunately, to qualify someone from the 18s to help us out. So we'll just have to deal with that. But as I said, we've got players who'll just turn up, have carried a few injuries through, and girls on this table have carried a few through and just keep going. So I can't speak highly enough of the tenacity, the determination that this team has got, and just the guts to just get through for their team. It's just outstanding.
Very, very high praise indeed. Must be awesome to hear that. I'm actually going to ask you a question, Shannon, out of the blue. I introduced Dee as basically a set piece specialist, and when I spoke to her ahead of that match of the round, she'd already had something like 10 assists from corners. And from what I do remember from that match of the round game, it was a difficulty at the time. So I do have to ask, it's sort of my job to do it. Like, have you guys didn't concede from a corner or set piece from against them 2 weeks ago?
They did.
They
it
did.
was a free kick.
It was okay. So.
It was to be fair, it was a screamer of a free kick.
So like direct that goal, was it?
Sarah Bernard.
Yeah, Sarah.
Yeah, it was a screamer.
Top right corner.
Yeah.
So is the plan to not give away as many free kicks or corners, for example?
I mean, that'd be great. It's no secret that they're amazing at using those set pieces for sure, and it's definitely been something that I personally and my amazing goalie coach as well as assistant manager has helped me definitely focused on how to position myself for those, how to position my defence for those. It's honestly been a great learning curve. No matter what happens, it's been really good for my goalkeeping in general. They've definitely challenged me, but yeah, I mean, it'd be great if we don't give away any corners or free kicks because they obviously know how to convert them and they've been a problem all season. But no matter what happens on Sunday, I think I'm at the point where I'm pretty prepared. I know how to set up and give our defence and myself the best chance. So, yeah.
Media trained goalkeeper, certainly. That was a rehearsed answer from out the blue. Now, a question I'll throw towards you, Dee. 90th minute free kick to equalise or win the game. Is it you or Sarah Bernard who steps up?
Depends where it is, what angle.
Okay, which do you prefer?
For the right side.
Okay, well, there you go.
I can hit it either side.
Fantastic.
You have two sides of your foot, so...
You do.
Yeah.
You do. Okay, so what we're going to do now is to head into the sort of last part of this. We'll put the microphones down, and it's whoever grabs it at first. So, well done. You guys predicted what I was saying. I would like to know from both sides, whether it's one person or two people who wants to speak up, or if all of you want to give your opinion. I am looking for someone to give us a prediction as to how Sunday 6 p.m. is going to go and why. Whoever's brave enough to pick up the microphone first, be my guest.
Parklea to win.
How?
It's going to be 1-0.
1-0, okay. I like that. Any response to the 1-0?
I forecast lots of cramping.
Lots of pickle juice.
Lots of pickle juice.
No, I think it's going to be an intense match, particularly at the time of day that it's at. I feel like we are all motivated to get it over and done with sooner than later, to not revisit what we experienced 2 weeks ago.
Absolutely. Anything past 8 p.m. on a Sunday will be criminal for all involved. But from a commentator's perspective, it has been a pleasure following these two teams, not just for this year, but throughout the entire year. How you guys have grown. Again, really good media trained answers from everyone as well. Brilliant to not give anything away. Great to know that you've stepped up in the last couple of weeks and that your goalkeeping as a coach has come a long way as well. Both of these two teams are standard bearing in terms of the way to handle yourself off of the pitch and on it. Brilliant footballers all individually and as units. In terms of the way that these guys interact off the pitch, from everything I hear, family vibes is what tends to bring the most success. And I heard that even though you guys are majority new, the culture that you guys have built has been tangibly beautiful from what I can see. So it's a credit to both of you guys individually, but as a unit for giving us a great competition this year. I have no surprises that first and second are the ones who made the grand final. Thank you guys for making the trip from all over what seems like Australia from what I've heard, and for you guys for coming down the road, extra special. Thank you very much, and I wish you both the best of luck heading into Sunday.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you all again. I was really impressed when Brittany Rogers picked up the microphone and just said, Parklea going to win 1-0. I love that. I think that's brilliant. The enthusiasm from both teams, the fact that I've spoken to the camps of other teams of the WPL who will be here to actually watch along live as well, I think it's great. Don't forget to come and set up a marquee. You're free to do so. Both teams are incredibly aware and respectful of either side's individual and collective quality. Corners, pace on the break, you name it. But after an episode solely dedicated to number 60 out of 60 of the grand finals being played across 3 days here at Blacktown Football Park, that's going to bring an end to this brilliant episode, if I do say so myself. The WPL is the closing act of the grand final series of 2023, as it will be, I'm sure, for the next couple of years. Long may it continue. And I think it's going to be a showstopper. If you do appreciate the fact that both teams travelled from far and wide to make sure that you guys got the best content available in the podcast, leave a like. Leave a like if you are keen for grand finals. Subscribe if you're going to be here at Blacktown Football Park over the next couple of days. Remember as well to arrive 90 minutes before the scheduled kickoff time of your game or the game you're coming to watch, unless you have a disabled parking sticker present and ready to show one of our traffic controller staff here. And once you do find that parking spot, by the way, cue the outro music.